Hello, beautiful world. Isabella Hrobak here, the owner and founder of Authentic Wellbeing, and welcome to the next beautiful show episode. Today we are going to talk about sitting with emotions. The phrase itself and also what is that and how to help you to sit, to be with those emotions. You may already glance somewhere and see that phrase. In order to transform or heal in spirituality, it's important to sit with your emotions. Sit with your emotions, sit with your pain, sit with your experiences. All these phrases are showing up more and more in spiritual work. And then there is that confusion, and it was for me. That's why I'm doing this video, because it was really confusing. It was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to sit with my emotions? It's like, what does it mean? Like, I am sad and I am upset or angry, and now I just need to sit with it? No, I want to numb it, right? I want to run away from it. I don't want to experience those emotions. I don't want to feel those things. And that's very natural response of all of us, when especially those emotions who trigger some hurt and pain, those emotions which are labeled in the society as bad and we shouldn't feel them. Those emotions are usually the ones which we want to separate from, which we want to run away from, which we want to push away, numb, and feel good. The thing is, first thing for all of you to remember, there is no 100% happiness. Period. I mean, we cannot be happy 100% of the time. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay and that's normal. It's like we cannot have day 100% of the time. There is night and there is day, right? There is darkness, there is lightness. There is storm and there is sun. Everything has a purpose. The same with emotions. I keep repeating, and you may heard me already multiple times saying there are no good and bad emotions. All of them have a purpose and all of them are important. All of them are important for healing, for growth, for working on some trauma, on some experiences, rediscovering ourselves and our truth. And that's why that concept of sitting with emotions comes from. So the concept of sitting with emotions embodies a very important aspect, embodies the fact that you accept yourself, to get yourself and all those emotions showing up in your life. You allow them to be. You don't reject them, you don't judge them, you don't label them, you don't separate them. You are accepting all of them. If you feel anger, and I will be talking more about those dark emotions, because this is what usually we try to numb and run away from. When you feel anger, grief, sadness, despair, when you feel those emotions, it is hard to sit with them. It is obviously hard. I mean, who wants to be sad for a purpose? The thing is that sometimes, and in many cases, being with those emotions and without numbing them, if you feel being with those emotions without numbing them and running away, it has the most transformational and healing power than numbing them. Numbing emotions causes all those another aspects and issues in our life, such as binge and emotional eating, addictions, alcoholism, a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse. All those things stem from numbing emotions. If we sit with emotions, if we are with those emotions, we recognize them, accept them, allow them to be, and work with them, the healing comes. So, for example, when you are sad or angry, speak it up, voice it out, write it down, recognize it, cry it out, scream it out, go for a jog, release it. Work with it and around it, so that way that emotion has the space in you to move around, move through you. And many times while doing that work, we can see what potentially triggered it, what caused it, how can I potentially tweak things later on, next time, how can I work around it, what is the primary cause of it. Because many times what's coming up today, it's stemming and coming up from other traumas, other past experiences and conditioning and programming. So today I would like to share with you like 2-3 type of easier way to sit with that emotion. Because again, as I said, that concept is huge. That concept, it doesn't come so easily. That concept it's not that freaking easy. Obviously, I'm honest. It's like, hey, you're sad, sit with it. Nope. But in order for me to show you and show you that there is a way to sit with it, I'm going to share with you like 3, maybe 4 ways of visualizing that entire process, sitting with the emotion. One and the most speaking, a visualization type of sitting with emotion, which really speaks to so many of my clients, and it spoke to me, is imagining that there is a little tiny girl or little boy knocking on the door of your house. And that person, that little tiny human, is sad, upset, maybe angry, maybe scared, maybe in despair. It is really experiencing a lot of emotions. And then you open those doors, you look at that little boy or girl, and you shut the door because you just don't want to experience it. You don't want to let those emotions come into your house. This is what happens when we dissociate, numb, and run away from those emotions. Exactly like this. We sit and meditate, for example, and all we focus is about being happy, joyful, creative, powerful, empowered, all those beautiful things. But when suddenly those darker sides of us and our past and our experiences show up, knock on the door of our soul, then we are like, nope, I don't want to feel it. It's really, I mean, just listen to this. It's just like, I mean, it just doesn't work that way, right? It's like even in the world, like in order to get good salary, you need to sacrifice something. You need to stay longer hours. You need to maybe take the project home. There is something to sacrifice or to meet some expectations or to bend over a little more in order to accomplish something beautiful, big. The same in this case. It's like you just cannot separate. It's like having those 5 kids or 6 kids in front of you. One is joy, happiness, and creativity. Another is anger, sadness, and despair or fear. And then you are like, you kids go to the basement, I don't want to see you ever, and you kids stay with me. Imagine every single emotions you're experiencing as that child knocking on the door of your soul, of your home. And that's one visualization. It's really helpful because a lot of us will never hurt kids. There is just like, we won't hurt a kid. And if especially we would see like random kid knocking on our door, shaking, shivering, and being fearful, there is the first instinct, no matter where that kid comes from, come in to protect it, to work with it, to help it, to hug it, to embrace it. That's why imagining those harder emotions as that kid is really very helpful, because then comes that acceptance, that embracement, that giving space and making sure that that person or those emotions are safe, and just be with them. Just be with them. That's the moment when that sitting with emotions happens. Another example could be best friend. The same thing. Knocking on the door of your house, best friend. If you cannot imagine kid, or maybe you don't have kids, but you may have your best friend or parent who you dearly love, you wouldn't shut the door in front of their faces, right? Another important and very, very powerful visualization I truly again, during meditation, a lot of things are downloaded and coming up. It was during, for example, anxiety. When I was experiencing like morning anxiety, a lot of things to do. Again, a lot of us are dealing with that. We will get up in the morning and there's like overload, right? And we are anxious. Oh my gosh, how am I going to go through this day to day? And, or maybe anxiety, more serious anxiety about really important things in your life. Relationships, job, finances. Imagine your brain, again, personalize it. Imagine your brain now suddenly being in front of you on the pedestal, on some kind of, surface. And imagine, just like in the cartoons, imagine that brain in front of you, anxious, fearful, stressing, like shaking and trying to do all these things at once. And then imagine yourself here, empty-brained, but with the heart. And then the communication starts between brain and heart, between brain and your soul. It's like, hey, brain, why are you so shivering? Why are you so stressed? Wait a minute, just pause, just calm down. Let's talk, let's communicate. Let me give you a little bit like hug. Let me give you a little bit like reassurance. Everything is fine. Look at me. We are safe. There is no flood. There is no storm. There is no, fire. There is no danger. So calm down and keep that conversation going. Again, personalization of your emotions, even kind of separating them like artificially, not separating in a way of numbing, but separating in order to be able to communicate with it, visit with them, is the way to go for many of us to start those discussion, loving, accepting discussion and communication with your emotions, being with those emotions. Remember, it's not about rejecting them also. So don't take me wrong. Being with those emotions, communicating and personalizing with them, personalization of them, there is no goal to get rid of them eventually. It's about being with those emotions here and now and just be with them. Just let them be, let you be with them, and that's it. It's not about talking to that brain or talking to that kid, and by the time they are fine, go away. Sometimes that anxiety can turn into bigger anxiety or maybe sorrow. Sometimes that fear can turn into fear of rejection or maybe fear of being abused or being hurt. So sometimes out of that communication and being with those emotions, new things come up, which could be darker, which could be deeper. And the goal is not about turning negativity into positivity. This is not the goal of sitting with the emotions. So take this also as a primary message from this video. It is not about turning negative, dark, shadowy emotions into positivity and then washing your hands and be done. No, sometimes they need a little longer to be with you. Sometimes they need longer time to process. Like grief, it's not going to happen overnight. It needs time to be processed. It needs a lot of self-compassion, self-acceptance, and sitting with it. And the last visualization I wanted to share with you is puzzles. Imagine you are doing puzzles very quickly. And there are those areas in the puzzle picture where it's so hard to fit the puzzles into, let's say, sky. I always had problems with sky. I mean, blue sky. Oh my gosh. Like, none of the puzzles fit because everything is blue. And it's like you cannot find that one. And if you cannot find this one, then the other ones don't fit it. And then you are getting frustrated. And there are also pieces of the picture where everything is so detailed that the pieces really, there is no way but that puzzle needs to fit here because others cannot. So there are those moments. Imagine yourself as that puzzle picture. Imagine that picture as a whole but puzzled, right? So we are whole. We are whole, but all our experiences, emotions, everything we carry, we are like those puzzles. We are complex individuals. We are whole, but complex, built from those many puzzles. And now imagine some of those emotions, which especially we prefer, are those detailed puzzles. They fit perfectly, they are stuck, they are there, they are there. They are not problematic. But then there are those emotions which we don't want to feel, right? And they are the sky puzzles, which are so problematic. They show up, they don't fit in, they again show up, they don't fit in. We need to put them on the side, we get frustrated, and all those all those things coming up. Imagine yourself as that. Would you leave that picture half empty, not finished, because you just got frustrated, doesn't fit, you don't want those pieces of the puzzle in the sky there? Done. You are done. No. It's like we want to finish that picture. We want that picture to be whole again, right? And even if those couple of those puzzles fall off, we still want to bring them back, put them back in their place. And sometimes it happens overnight, sometimes happens over a few weeks. Sometimes we need to breathe out and breathe in and then come back to the picture again. The same comes with the sitting with those emotions, sitting with those puzzle pieces of your entire wholeness. It is, sometimes they don't fit, sometimes they don't want to fit, sometimes they are very hard to fit, sometimes they are very hard to sit with. It's okay. It's okay, because they belong to you. They belong to you, they belong to that whole picture. They will fit there, they will come back there, they will eventually soothe down, they will eventually calm down, they will eventually become your, again, beautiful picture as a whole. But sometimes they fall off, and sometimes we just need to understand that we are still whole, and yes, we may need some nurturing, some time, some more affection for those particular pieces in order to bring them back, in order to put them as a whole again back. And those could be those big, dark pieces, light pieces, everything. As I mentioned, there are no good and bad emotions. All of them are important. And actually, speaking honestly, those shadowy emotions, which we are so afraid of, we all are afraid, are probably sometimes even more important in our healing process, in our spiritual process, in our self-work process and self-help process than sometimes those joyful. I'm not saying joy, happiness isn't important. It is. It is really an ultimate goal for all of us, which happens every day actually. But those negatively labeled emotions are so crucial, so beautiful, and so much magic can come out of it as soon as you just let them be, accept them, sit with them, communicate with them, nurture them, accept them, love them. Just like that child knocking on the door of your soul. I hope I help you with that little concept of sitting with the emotions. I am curious. I am so curious. How do you perceive that concept? How do you work around that concept? Do you have your own visualization which help you to be with those emotions, those darker, those harder emotions in your daily life? How do you experience them? I would love to hear from you, because like I just shared three simple visualizations which helped me, but I would love to hear from you what other ways and tools and visualization potentially you are using in order to be with your emotions. And if you think that this video could help anybody around you, and it may be around you, for your friends, share with those people, share with them, and hopefully we all can help each other, because we are here to help at least one person every day. Thank you so much. I hope to see you in the next episode. I love you all, and have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of the evening, whenever you are watching and wherever you are watching from. I love you all. Have a good night.